Now today what we are going to do is we'll see first the installation of Python, then we will see how to write Python scripts, and then gradually we'll start learning the basics of elementary concepts of Python programming. Okay. Now Python comes actually in two flavors. One is Python 2 and another is Python 3. They are nowhere upper compatible or something as like in Java. Like Java versions are there, like Java 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have reached till Java 10, 11. Getting? So those are all upper compatible. Means next version Java is just a wrapper over the previous version. New features in the previous one. So previous version programs are upper compatible. Means you can run it in the next version. And next version goes on becoming bulky. Why? Because they are just adding new features in the old one. So it is just a wrapper over the previous one, wrapper over the previous one. So it is continuously becoming bulky and bulky. Such concept is not in Python. Python comes with two separate flavor. One is Python 2, which is a separate implementation. And then Python 3 is there, which is a complete separate implementation. And there are syntactic differences. There are some library differences also, okay, between them, Python 2 and Python 3. And from 1 Jan 1920, they have stopped coming with the next distribution of Python 2. Okay, so Python 2's next distribution is not going to come. It is stopped. Only now the work with Python 3 is going on. And please remember, Python 2 program is upper compatible with Python 3, nothing like that. Python 3 is a separate implementation, Python 2 is separate. Clear? We people in this entire course will be learning Python 3, right? Now the latest one available is 3.10, like latest is release is available. I have 3.8 installed. Okay. Now I'll give you quickly the steps how to install Python, and then we'll start writing programs in it. Okay. So what the steps are, that I'll tell you. And it will be better if you do it simultaneously along with me. Like if you're attending the session on, a few more joined, I guess Dharmesh joined. Good evening, Dharmesh. One more new student joined, I guess. All of you, those who have, as I said, those who have joined today, yesterday's session, Rohini has joined, I guess. Okay. So good evening, Rohini. So yesterday's session recording again, share you guys. Okay. So quickly we'll start with the installation process. If you are attending the session on the laptop, simultaneously you can do it. It will be well and good. Okay. First step is you have to start your browser, whichever favorite browser you have or whichever you use. And obviously Google Chrome, nearly everyone use that only. So you can start your browser. Okay. And in your search text box, you can type download Python. That's all. Nothing complicated sentence or anything. Just you have to write download Python, enter. Get it? You'll get the search result. And just go to the first search result. Getting? Don't scroll anywhere like. Okay. So you start your browser, google.co.in, you know, your search engine starts, and in the search text box you'll just type, or simultaneously I'll show you, like you'll go to google.co.in. This is your Google search page. Here just type download Python. Okay, enter. That's all. Just enter and you'll get the first result. You're getting clear? So the first result, whatever come, you just click on it, right? So this is the result which you'll get after typing download Python, enter. And I'll go to the first search result, which is the official website of Python. Okay, where you get the Python distribution, which this people have made it available to everyone. So I'll click on this first result, and the moment I click on it, you'll be able to see this welcome page. Getting? Now in your machine you might be getting the latest version, that is 3.9. Now in this 3.9 version, they have added switch case concept also, which was not there in the previous version. Getting? Now when I created this slide, that time the latest was 3.8. I'm sure now in your machine it might be showing 3.9. Is it? If any of you are doing it, please confirm me.
Yes, sir, it is 3.9.
3.9 it is showing, right? So you just click on it, and I'm sure you all people are at this moment doing on Windows. If any of you are interested in any open source like on Linux and all, there too I'll show you how to do it. Okay, programming is not going to change. Only your interpreter you have to download for Linux, and how to do it in any, like in Ubuntu or in Fedora, Red Hat. It's very simple. And in some open source OS, it is by default coming. It is already shipped. Python is already coming along with it. Getting in some distributions. So anyways, so as I said, after the search result, you go to the first result, that is to the official Python website. When I click on it, it will go to this welcome page of python.org. Directly click on this download Python. Getting? Now in some machines it may happen, like if some of you are having some older systems, which I doubt it should not be the case, because now you all have the latest machines only. But if suppose some of you are having the old, so that time it may create a problem. Then you can go in downloads and check for the older versions, okay, which may not be compatible with your current system. Okay, but normally if you have a latest system, download this. So just click on this download Python, and the moment you click, an exe will start getting downloaded. Okay, so hope the steps are clear to you. Now when I click on this exe will get downloaded. I've just given you the screenshots, but hope you can follow this and go along with it. Okay, so when I click on this button, Python exe will download, and you can see that this exe is being downloaded. On the status bar you'll see that file. Okay, so now you click on this exe. Now I'm sure in your case it will be Python 3.9 point something. This is the major version. Major version is 3 and that minor version is 0.8. Okay, and now they are just coming up with the new distributions of 3 only. 2 they have already stopped. There are a lot of syntactic differences also, library differences between 2 and 3. Okay, so it is not at all upper compatible or something like Python 3 is upper compatible. They started distribution, both developments simultaneously. Only now from 1 Jan 1920 they have stopped coming with the next distribution of 2. They are coming with the next, that is 3 only. Okay, so now you click on this exe. The moment you click on that exe, it will pop up with this window. Okay, this dialog box will come. Okay, just click on run. Right? Okay, hope the steps are clear. I'm not going too fast. So when you click on this run, it will give this dialog. Just make a note that you'll click on this check boxes. Okay, one checkbox, this first one if you put, and the second one, with this it is going to add one icon in your programs, and this is really helpful if you put this checkbox. If you put this checkbox, your Python interpreter path will be put into the system path, and the benefit of that is you'll be able to run your Python interpreter from anywhere. Means you go to any folder, and from any folder you can run your Python interpreter. Getting? Otherwise what will happen is, if you forget to click on it, then manually you have to set the path in system variables, which many of you might have done for Java and all. Okay, so you have to go to the system variable and then you have to add that path. Complicated task. So why not to click here only? If you put it, now your path of your Python interpreter is put into system path, and the benefit is you can start your Python interpreter from anywhere. You go to any folder, and from terminal you can, terminal means that is from command prompt, you can start your Python interpreter. Getting? So once this two are click and then I click on install now, the installation process will start. Okay, and once the installation is done, you should get this window that is setup was successful. And if some of you are trying it simultaneously along with me, and if you are done with it and if you have got this window, just give me confirmation. Okay, or if still it is in the process, please tell me accordingly.
Still loading, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, done.
okay, no problem. We'll wait, no issues.
Hi, sir.
Yes,
Courier, and they're showing me like setup field.
okay. So you're on which system? Like Windows 7 or
Windows 10.
Windows 10? So it should
Yeah.
not happen. You loaded the
My laptop is old now.
laptop is old, but the OS is. I guess if it is 32-bit, then it may happen. Then you have to download the 32-bit version.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine.
Okay, so when you go to that welcome page, no,
Yeah.
see, I'll show you here. So you go to this downloads, okay,
Yeah.
and in this downloads, down you can see the older versions. So you can download some of the older one that you can try.
Oh, okay, sir. No problem.
Okay, and still if you are facing problem, then we will see. We'll try to solve it. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
So meantime, what I'll do is I'll proceed with the next thing.
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Others also, those who are trying, if you are done with this, just give me confirmation.
Yes, sir, done.
Done. Okay. I'm just recognizing your voices. Okay. I guess Gautam said yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What about others? Like, others you are trying. If you are doing it on, you are attending the session. Okay. On the cell phone you are attending, then later you have to do it. Please do hands-on, because just attending the session, you'll know Python, but you will not be comfortable with it or confident on it. So please do it. Okay. So once this step is coming, now if you go to your programs, like, okay, all apps, like if it is Windows 7, so then from programs. So here you'll be able to see Python icon will be added. You can go to P section, like clear P, Python. Now in your machine 3.9 will be there. Okay, and then you can click on this idle, right? So this idle is an integrated development environment which Python only has given. Meaning Python organization only has developed their own IDE. Now you'll ask, what is IDE? That is integrated development environment. So it is one software which under one roof allows you to do all the activities of your programming, like activities like creating your program, then opening old program, editing in it, then running your program, debugging your program. So all that activities you can do under one roof. Under one roof means under one software environment, and that is called as integrated development environment. So this idle is the IDE given by Python organization only. Get it? But there are many other third-party companies also. They also have developed their IDEs for Python, like JetBrains PyCharm is there. You can use that too, or an Anaconda Jupyter Notebook is there. Then Sublime is there. So many are there. Clear? So initially, in the initial stage, at your learner stage, you can use this idle only. It is also completely full-fledged. Everything you can do within it. Get it? But some people have little curiosity to use some other IDs. So you can later use it. Don't worry, I'll show you some demonstration in PyCharm, if possible in Jupyter Notebook also. But they are the IDEs given by different third-party companies. This is the ID given by whom itself? Python organization itself. So you can click on it. Now instead of going and searching and doing it, like here in the search window only, if you type idle, you'll get that. Okay. So when I click on it, I'll get this window. Okay. I should be able to see this window. Okay. So 3 greater than sign and a cursor will be blinking. This is your interactive Python terminal. You call it as a terminal. Okay. As we have a command prompt, that is shell prompt. So same way, this is the interactive Python terminal. Cursor is blinking and it is waiting for you to type Python command. It will accept the command, interpret the command, give the result, and again show 3 greater than sign. Getting? But it's not necessary through here only running the script. You can do it with a file also. So I'm coming to that, but just before that, after clicking on idle, you should see this environment. Colors you can modify. The font and colors and all, you can change it. There are facilities given. Okay. But before that, after clicking on idle, do you get this window? Just tell me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
so
sir.
nearly all. Those
Yes,
who
sir.
tried it, it's okay. Okay. Good. So now we will now start with the actual programming part. Okay. So first I'll tell you how we can write a Python script or how to run a Python program. So there are different ways. First way is by entering into a read, evaluate, print loop. We call it as REPL. Okay. It is called as read, evaluate, print loop. Okay. So whenever you start idle, you get that 3 greater than sign. That is actually called as a Python interactive terminal. A prompt is coming over there. So that prompt which is blinking, it is ready to read the command. So you will enter the command, it will read the command, it will evaluate that command, give the result of the command, and again show you that 3 greater than sign. Means it is again into that read, evaluate, print loop. And this will be infinite till you don't close that environment. This is one way. Getting? So quickly I'll just show you that. Okay, here see, in this interactive environment, I'm just writing print and hello world. Okay. Now what is print? A little bit common sense. It is a function to display something. But we are going to in detail talk on print in the next topic. Okay, what are different ways of using print? At this moment, just remember print is for displaying something. As we have printf in C, cout in C++, or system.out.println in Java, or echo in PHP. So same way print in Python. Python 3 needs round bracket. Python 2 never allows round bracket. There are syntactic differences, but anyways, we are going to learn Python 3 in the entire course. So print something I have given, enter. So the moment I say enter, it has read this command. It will evaluate the command. It will show the output, and then again it will show that 3 greater than sign. See, read the command, evaluated, displayed the output, and again it has come to the prompt. Again, if I'm creating some variable x equal to 10. So simple. Yesterday, I am sure in the features, I've told you one important feature that Python is dynamically typed language. It's not static type like C, C++, Java. No need to declare. You can directly assign the value, variable is created. Getting? So X is created. Okay. Y equal to 20. Y is created. Then again print x plus y. It will add that. It's an expression. It is an expression. It will evaluate that expression. Pass the value to print. Print will display on the monitor. Again come on the prompt. Getting on? So this is continuously going on. So it is reading the command. It is evaluating the command. It is printing the result. And again entering in the same loop. This will go on till you don't close this interactive environment. This is one way. But when your scripts become lengthy, this is not at all a feasible way, isn't it? for what you can save when you are at a development step. So just that simple parts of your application, you just want to run and see, then it is okay. But if your program is completely developed, then this way is not a feasible way. You have to type it in a separate file and then run that file. Okay, so second approach is, so first approach I'm sure it is clear to you. Second approach is create a Python file, create Python script file, that is .py extension file. Okay, and then give it to Python interpreter. Okay, and you see the output. Now only the advantage of this technique is you can run the script any number of times because you have saved it in a file .py. So once you have saved it in that .py, you can give it any number of time to the interpreter and you can run and see. Getting or no? Clear? So that is the second approach. So I'll show you this second approach also, how we can do it. See, I hope till here there is no doubt. What you have to do is go to this file. As I said, this idle is also full-fledged. There is no need to go to any other third-party IDs. Getting? But many are having lot of curiosity ki how this Jupyter and this Anaconda Jupyter or this PyCharm is working. Okay, they have made it more attractive, but as I said, this idle also gives all the facility. In idle also you can write all your complex applications. Getting clear? So go to this file, new, and new file. Okay, I hope you're getting it. An empty, like a notepad, an empty window is opened for you to type the command. Okay, type your script. But before that, good practice, save it. Okay, again I'll tell you, when you started this interactive environment, just go to file, new file. You can even type the shortcut Control N. Okay, an empty document is created, untitled document, right? So good practice, save it. See, file, and I'm going to save it. Okay, now always, it is not a new thing to you people. Always you should create your workspace and then store all the work over there, isn't it? So what I'll do is in D drive, I'll create one folder called Basic Python 8, and in that folder, whatever programs we'll be doing in the entire course, we'll save it. Whenever you want for your reference, I can mail you people these programs which we'll be doing in the class. So whenever you need it, you can ask for me, I'll mail you. Okay, don't worry. So in this Basic Python 8 folder, so in the D drive, I created a folder, and in that folder, I'm going to save my program. So I'm going to give name to it as first. It will be by default saved with the extension .py. It is default Python file. So no need to give extension explicitly. It will get extension automatic. So just save. Okay? I hope the steps are clear. You can see in the title first.py saved in this folder. Isn't it? Okay. Now in this you can type your script. Like for example, I'm writing print hello world. Every programmer's life start with hello world only. Yes or no? In any language, first program is hello world. C program, Scala program, CUDA program, any language you learn, first program is hello world. Clear? So print hello world. Then I'm creating some variable. You can create such multiple variables also at a time, which Python allows. Such multiple assignment concept is not there in C, C++, Java family. They don't give it. Here it's allowed. 10 gets copied in X, 20 in Y. Then I'm displaying that values of X and Y. Then maybe I'm displaying their addition. Then I'm displaying something all done. Okay? Now in this whole code, conditional statements can come, loops can come, or you can define your function, then you can call your function. This is gradually going to happen till 7th chapter. Getting? So at this moment we are at a very early stage. So just simple statements I have written. Okay, now I am going to save it. right? Now give this whole script at a time to your Python interpreter to run it. Getting clear? I hope you're understanding. Before that, just remember, in Python, every .py file, okay, is called as module. It is a Python literature. According to Python literature, every py file is a module. Getting? And when group of py files, you keep it in one folder, it will be called as a package. Getting? So collection of .py files kept in a folder is called as package. Those who are from Java background, they might be already knowing that package is a folder there also, and there also in a folder we keep group of related classes. So here group of related .py file, when you keep it in one folder, we'll call it as a package. Getting? So please always remember that whenever I use word module in Python, it means that it is a py file. So this program which you have typed now, first.py, it is also one module. Now just go to this run option and run module. From this only I hope you can understand. When it is saying run module, you got to know. You can use this shortcut also, that is F5. Now when I click on it, it will start running all the steps. So did it execute first print, then it created two variables, then it displayed that two variables, then it has displayed the addition, then all done, everything over. Getting? Again, if you want, you can run that script. And that is the benefit, because it has been saved in .py. Okay? So till here, if it is clear, just give me confirmation.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
if you have tried it on your own, well and good. You can run your Python script from your command prompt also. Clear? Normally you won't do it, you'll run it from here only. But if you want, you can run it from command prompt also. So I'll show you that, but now I'm going to show you just first time. After this, I'll not tell you. After that, we'll be doing it here only. Okay? So if you want to run it from the terminal, you can do it. Now, how do you start your command prompt? You just write CMD. No? Those who are from Windows environment, they know it. Those who are from Linux environment or Unix, so there you start a terminal, open terminal, and a shell prompt come. Getting the same mechanism. So when I type CMD, this command prompt come. When I click on this command prompt, you'll see this black window, isn't it? So you can go to your folder, see D:, okay, and then I'll change the directory to my folder, basic Python 8. Okay, I've already created one folder, basic Python 8. So I'm just changing my directory to that. So currently I am in basic Python 8, and just you can write like this, Python and your script name, that is first.py. Okay, so this first.py will be given to your Python interpreter, and line by line it will run it. Internally it's going to convert it to bytecode, then bytecode to machine code, and then it is executed and you'll get the result. See, enter. And I hope you are now able to realize it, that why I'm able to run this Python interpreter from my folder also, because at the time of installation I had given that checkbox, I ticked on that checkbox, that two checkboxes. So in that second checkbox, when I ticked, it added my Python interpreter path in the system path. So you can access this Python interpreter from anywhere, not only in this folder. Go to any folder where you have kept the script, from anywhere. Getting? So this way also you can run it. From the terminal also you can run your script. Getting? So hope this methodology is also clear to you. Okay? So generally there are two ways only. Either by entering into read, evaluate, print loop, which is on that terminal, or second, create your Python script file and then give that file to the interpreter. ठीक है? So hope this both the ways are clear. So now we can start learning some more things of Python programming. Okay? Just confirmation from your side. Okay, I'll just close this. Quickly now. Okay, so who will tell me? Just quickly tell me, have you understood all these concepts? Right? All of you, Gautam, Aditya,
Yes, sir.
all this. ठीक है, ऋषिकेश,
Yes, sir.
गौरी, धर्मेश,
Yes, sir.
सुनील, गणेश.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Let's move on to the next thing. Now, next what we are going to learn is input output in Python. Okay, so we'll start our Python journey with how to display the output, how to accept input. In Python, it is so simple that they have given only two built-in functions or two library functions, but they are built-in. Means they don't belong to some package. Okay, you can directly use it. Whenever your interactive environment start, those all library functions are directly available and you can use it. But there are some libraries which are kept in separate modules, and if you want to use it, you have to import those modules. Getting? So we'll come to that part later. Just now remember, built-in functions means those functions which are directly available to all the Python programmer to use it. You don't have to add any library for them. Getting? They are automatically loaded in some global namespace when your interactive environment start. So when the interactive environment start, there is some super global namespace where these all functions are added and everyone can access those functions. Okay, so in that there are two functions, one for accepting and one for displaying. So accepting I'll tell you later. First we'll talk about displaying. Okay, so for displaying there is only one function called print. Okay, so if you do analogy with other languages, like if you know C, so in C we have printf for displaying, like in C++ we have cout, in Java we have system.out.println, in PHP we have echo, JavaScript those who have done, so there we have document.write. Okay, so all languages give their facility of display, like those who have done C#, to console.write. So every language is having their output statement. Getting? So same way Python is also not excuse. Python has given its output statement, that is print. Okay, print function never returns anything. Okay, so like in other languages, nothing is represented by void. I hope you know it. Like in C or in C++ or in Java, nothing is represented as void, isn't it? So in Java, in Python, void is represented by none. Please understand, nothing is represented as none, but that none is also an object. That is the speciality. Means what Python says, everything is an object, and that's the reason Python is a pure object oriented. It is not even true, it is pure. Java is true OP. C++ is just an object oriented. Getting? Java is a true object oriented, whereas Python is a pure object oriented. Python says nothing is without an object. Python says each and everything is an object, and if it's an object, it has to belong to some class. Yes or no? Objects are copies of some class. Getting? So here this none is actually representing nothing. From our point of view, it is nothing. But according to Python, it is an object of class none type. Means none type is a class and none is an object of this class. And when any function doesn't return anything, it is none. But that none value is also object of this class. Okay, so later we'll see about that too in detail. Okay, at this moment just remember print is a built-in function provided by Python. Okay, it is for displaying anything on the console, that is on the monitor. If you want to display anything on the monitor, use print, and print never returns anything. Correct? So print actually returns, it never returns anything, is actually it is returning none. And that none is also what? Python says I'll not give you anything without an object. Python is saying each and every value is represented as an object. Let it be integer, let it be float, let it be string, let it be complex, anything. Tuple, dictionary, anything. Everyone is an object. And if it's an object, it has to belong to some class. Okay, so actually print returns none. Okay, like in C, printf returns number of characters sent to the console, isn't it? So here it returns none. Okay, now there are different forms of print. All these forms we are going to discuss one by one. There are around 7 to 8 forms. So first I'll explain all that forms, and just to recap all, we'll go through the slides also. Don't worry, on the slides also all these forms I've put. First I'll explain all this. Okay, so the first basic thing is clear to you. For displaying anything on the monitor, there is one library function given, only one library function. Okay, and that is print, a built-in function. The name of that print built-in function is print. That's all. Okay, so print takes the value and send it to the monitor, but it never returns anything. Okay, now we'll learn different forms of print. See here, the first form, print without any argument. At any moment if you have doubt or you have some query, please ask me. Clear? You can unmute and you can ask me. The first form I am going to talk about, print and no argument. It will just display one blank line. Okay, displays blank line. That's all, nothing else. Okay, I'll show you the demonstration also here. Now this file, for time being I'll close it. We'll just come on this terminal and see. If I write print without any argument, enter, it will just display a blank line. Has it shown you one blank line? Yes. Okay, so hope it is clear to you. The first form, very simple form, print, no argument, a blank line is displayed. Okay, then coming to the second form, see, print and any value. Okay, displays value and at the end puts new line, that is slash n. So it will display this value on the monitor, and at the end by default it will put new line. Slash n is representing new line. Okay, but now this value can be what? So value can be anything. Okay, so value can be literal, it can be a variable, or it can be an expression, or it can be called to other function, anything it can be. Okay, so whatever value you are giving, it will just display it on the monitor. So as I said, literal means you got it, constant value. Literals means constant values, means values which are representing themselves. Values which are representing themselves. Okay, so if I have written print 3.14, so 3.14 is going to represent 3.14 only. That is the reason literal. You can pass variable also. So it will take the value which is stored in the variable. Expression, so it is evaluated and the result is displayed. Call to other function, so that function returns something, and whatever that function returns, this print will display on the monitor. So value can be any of these things. Okay, I hope you got it. I'll quickly give that demonstration too to you people. See, print, I'm writing 4.5. Is it a literal value? Yes. Print hello. Is it a literal value? It's a string literal constant. It's a floating point constant. But these are constant value. Getting? Print 100, it's an integer constant value. Okay, I'm creating a variable, suppose x equal to 10, and then I'm writing print x, so it will display the value of x. I'm writing an expression x into 2 plus 5. Okay, so 10 into 2, 20 plus 5, 25. Getting clear? So expressions also can be there, variable can be there, literal value can be there, or you can give call to some other built-in function. Like for example, I'm giving call to bin and I'm giving 15. So bin is again one more library function provided by Python. It takes a decimal, convert to binary, and then returns that binary value, and that binary value print will put on the monitor. So 15's binary is 4 ones. Does it display 4 ones? So bin is one library function. Takes some value, returns some answer, and that answer print will display on the monitor. Okay, so hope it is clear, right, all of you?
Yes,
Sure.
sir.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's move on with the next form, because there are many forms. Like there are around 7 to 8 different forms of print. Okay, so here I am explaining simultaneously. If you're noting down, well and good, but if you're not, so at the end I'll give you notes. No worries. Like at the end, when the chapter gets over, I send you PDFs for each chapter. But still, for your reference, if you're noting, it's a good practice. Okay, then the third form I'm going to tell you, print. Okay, and the list of values, value 1, value 2, dot dot. Okay, so you can give any list of values separated by comma. Okay, now here what it will do is it will display all these values one after another, separated by a space. See here, the speciality is each value is separated by a space, and at the end by default new line. Okay, see, displays list of values separated by space, and at the end puts new line. Okay, so all the values are displayed one by one. First value, then a space, second value, then a space, and at the end by default new line. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, and here also the rule for value is same. This value, the same thing. These values can be literal, they can be variable, they can be expression, call to function, anything. Okay, see, as an example I'll give you. Suppose I'm creating some variable x comma y comma z. Then in x I'm storing RAM, in y I'm storing 4500.67, in z suppose I'm storing 45. Okay, such multiple assignments are valid in Python. So string will get stored in x, this float value in y, 45 in z. Now I am writing print x comma y comma z. All three are variables. This is value 1, this is value 2, this is value 3. All these values will get displayed one after another with a space in between and a new line at the end. Clear? See. Is it displaying x value, then a space, y value, then a space, then z, and at the end new line. Agreed? Okay, you can put some other constants also in between. Like see, here I am writing name equal to comma, here I am writing salary equal to comma, then I am writing age equal to comma, enter. This is also possible. Getting? So this is a literal value. Now there are 6 values, value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4, 5, 6. But one value is a string literal, then a variable. Maybe inside this only I am adding one more called bonus equal to and comma y into 0.35, something like that. So this is an expression, this is a literal value, this is a variable. Anything can come. Getting? Now all these values will be displayed one after another with a space in between and a new line at the end. See, The first value, name equal to, then space, then Ram, then space, then salary equal to, then space. Each value is separated by a space. Okay, I'm sure you have got, you're clear with this concept. The third one, sure? Yes or no? Then we can
Yes,
move
sir.
to the next one. Okay, now in the next case, see, it is just a variation in the third one only. We have observed that in the third case, all the values are displayed one after another, but they are separated by space, isn't it? Each value is displayed one after another, value 1, value 2, value 3. They are separated by space. If suppose you want to separate it with something other than space, then you can use one parameter called SEP. Getting? So value 1, value 2, that list is as usual. Getting? And at the end, you will use one parameter called SEP, and to that, whatever value you give, that will be acting as a separator. Getting? So default, what is separator? Space. But if I pass this parameter, separator equal to and something, so that value will be used as a separator between each value. So separate value 1 and value 2 will be separated by this value. Getting? And at the end, by default, new line as usual. Getting? So at the end, what is going to come? New line. I'm not writing the explanation because anyway on the slides it will come when we will discuss each and everything. Here see, I'm writing print x comma y comma z. So you know that by default they are all separated by space. But here now I'm writing SEP equal to, and suppose I give 3 stars. So each value will be now separated with 3 stars. See. Okay. Ram 3 star, then 4500.67, again 3 star, then 45, and at the end new line as usual. So whatever SCP you give, it depends. Okay. Suppose you give an empty string, double quote, double, nothing is there. It's an empty string. So now you won't have a separator only. All the values will be joined. See. Getting? So it's up to you what you want to write. Like suppose I'm giving colon. So all the values will be separated with a colon. Can you see Ram colon 4500 colon colon. Okay? And at the end what will come? New line. Okay? So SCP is clear to you. Sure, no? Okay. Now the next
Hello, sir.
one. Huh. Yes.
Sir, can you repeat?
About SCP.
Yes, sir.
Sure. Okay, see what I told is in the previous methods, in the previous one, that is the third one, what was happening? You were giving values, value 1, value 2, value 3. So it was displaying all the values one after another. First value, second value, third value, all values are displayed. But all the values are separated by default with a space. Isn't it? I hope you agree with me. Value
Yes,
1
sir.
and value 2, a space was coming. Value 2, value 3, a space. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you want something other than space as a separator. Other than space as a separator. Then you have to pass this SCP parameter, and to SCP whatever you have given, that will be used as a separator.
Okay, sir, got it.
Clear? See, and the
Yes, sir.
demonstration I have given here. Don't worry. See, here I have given a demonstration. See, 3 values I am printing x, y, z, and then I am writing SCP equal to, and suppose I am writing 3 star. Now some may be in confusion because sometimes I use double quote, sometimes I use single quote. When to use single quote? When? Don't worry. Python says both are same. Double quoted is also a string object, and single quote is also a string object. That is the ease or simplicity of Python. Python says you write double quote or single quote, doesn't matter. Getting? Whereas in some language it actually matters. Single quote is something else and double quote is something else. Here it's not like that. Okay? So see what I have
Yes,
written,
sir.
SCP equal to 3 star. So each value will be now separated with 3 star. See, is it using 3 star? 3 star as a separator. Okay, suppose I give colon. So all the 3 values will be separated with colon. First value colon, second value colon.
Yes, sir. Now understood.
Clear? Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's move on. Right? Others also. I hope others also you're clear with it. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Lot to learn. Clear? This is the very elementary thing. It's the only first step. 7 chapters we have to cover, and lot of things of basic Python you'll learn. Okay. So print till 4 forms are clear. Now in all the previous forms which we have seen, first, second, third, fourth, in all these forms, always at the end new line is coming, isn't it? You might have observed whatever is displayed at the end new line, whatever displayed at the end new line. Now suppose you don't want at the end new line, okay? You want something other than new line at the end. Then for that also they have given one parameter called, okay, value 1, value 2, dot dot, called end. And what is the default value of end? New line. But if you want something other than that, then you give your value of your choice, whatever you want. So print list of values, end equal to, and whatever value you have given to end parameter, that value will be displayed at the end. Now some may ask, can we combine this both? Yes, indeed. Why not? You can combine SCP and end both. Okay, then you'll ask order, doesn't matter. End and then SCP, SCP and then end, doesn't make any difference. Okay, so whatever you give to this end parameter will be displayed at the end. Okay, one again demonstration of that I'll give you. Sorry, no need to save. See, what I'll do is I'll create one file, and through that I'll tell you. I've created an empty file, then I'll save it. Obviously we'll save it in our folder basic Python 8. Suppose I'm giving name to it as test, okay, or I'll give name to it as print demo, enter. So it is saved as printdemo.py, right? See, first what I'm doing is I'm writing print hello and end equal to semicolon I'm writing. Then I'm writing print world, okay, and then here also end equal to plus I'm writing, and then I'm writing print Python, and to that end I'm not giving. Okay, so what will happen? The first print will display hello, but at the end it will put semicolon. It won't put new line and come on the next line. Why it is? Because you have given this end parameter. You have given this end parameter. So therefore this end value is used. So what is value of end? Semicolon. So at the end semicolon will come. After that what will be displayed? World. And then end is plus. So here plus will come. And after that what is given? Python. But after Python the cursor will come on the next line. Why? Because for Python end parameter is not used. Is end parameter given to this third print? No. So what will be the default value of end in this case? New line. So it will come on the next line. Is it right? I hope you're understanding it. So we'll see the result of this script. What we'll do? We will run this module. And when you'll run it, can you see this? Hello, semicolon, world plus, and then Python, and then new line. You're getting? You can use both the combinations also, end and SCP. Like here see, x comma y comma z, SCP and end. Order doesn't matter. End suppose I'm giving semicolon. So separated by colon, but at the end is semicolon. See. Now the variables are not defined. It is lost. So what I'll do is, again I'll create these variables. Okay, and now I'll run this. See, can you see? The values are separated by colon because that is SCP. And at the end what is used? semicolon. This order doesn't matter, you can pass it in any order. Okay, I'm sure it is clear to you. Now some may ask like why it has come on the next, because I pressed that enter key also, no? From my side, from the keyboard I had pressed it, therefore it has come by default. Okay, so hope it is clear to you. End parameter, right? And the combinations both can be done. Okay, till here if it is clear, then I'll tell you the next forms, like some more forms I'll tell you. Okay, sure, no, all of you, please.
Yes, sir.
Interaction has to be there. It should not be a one-way communication. Otherwise, I'll just cover up with the syllabus. I'll take fees, I'll complete the syllabus. I'm least bothered what is happening on the other side. Okay, so please keep interacting. Any queries, please ask me. Okay. Now coming to the next form. Now, if you want to display your value in some formatted way, like you have a floating value and you want to display it with 2-digit precision, or you have a any value and you want to create a width, and in that width only you want to fit your value. Okay, or you're having an integer but you want to show it as a octal, or integer but you want to show it as binary, right? Or in hexadecimal. So you want to show your values in different formats. So for that too, print is giving facility. Okay? So how to do it? That I'll tell you. See, print, then you'll give a format string. Okay? Format string. Then a percent sign should come, and then the tuple of values. Tuple means a list of value. Okay, but then you'll say what is difference between a list and tuple. I'll come to it in the appropriate chapter. Here just remember, in a round bracket you'll give your list of values. Okay, value 1, value 2, going on. Round bracket complete, this complete. This is the actual syntax. First what should come? A format string, then a percent sign, and then a tuple of value. Tuple, don't call tuple, tuple. Okay, so tuple of values. So tuple of values means the sequence of values but enclosed in a round bracket. Okay. Now in this format string, what will be there? So inside that format string, any number of format specifiers can come. Okay? Inside this format string, your normal string will be there. Any other things, whatever you want, like name equal to, age equal to. So the other string is there, but inside this, any number of what will be there? Format specifiers. And this format specifier is made up of first a placeholder, which is a percent sign. That percent sign is actually called as a placeholder. Why we should call it as a placeholder? Because it is telling that here something is going to get substituted, and that is that values. So in this format string, as many times this placeholder will come, there these values are going to get substituted, and it is going to be 1:1 correspondence. The first format specifier, first value. Second format specifier, second value. Third format specifier, third value. 1:1. And what that percent is indicating, I hope you are understanding. It is telling that it is a placeholder for some value. Means at that place something is going to get substituted. Something is going to get substituted. Okay, so what is going to get substituted? These values, 1:1 correspondence. Okay, and after that format specifier, what comes? So there is one symbol called as a conversion symbol. Okay, so this way the two things are there. Now in this some format things are there like length and fill characters and alignment symbols, many things come. So later we'll discuss more on it. At this moment just remember format specifier is having a placeholder and followed by conversion symbol. Getting? Why we call it as conversion symbol? Because it tells that this type of value is displayed in this type. Like if you have an integer and you want to display it as octal, so you are saying it is getting converted into octal or in hexadecimal. Okay? So now few conversion symbols I'll give you. Not all I'm listing, few. %I or %d, both for integer. Getting? And Python doesn't have any complications like signed and unsigned and all that mechanism. Python says all are signed. And in Python, integer categories are not there. Lot of abundant categories which are there in Java and all. Like we have a char, then we have a byte, and then a short, then int, then long. In C, to still more confusion. C is having so many combinations also. Nothing like that. Okay, only integer. Okay, there is no concept called long and all that thing. Whole numbers, integer. So %I or %d. If you want to display a string, there is %s. Getting? Then a floating point value, there is %f. Here there is no confusion of double, long double, float, nothing like that. Simple floating point. Okay, and many more are there, but like few like %x, if you want to display it in hexadecimal. %O is there if you want to display it in octal, and going on. Okay, so few I have listed here, right? Just to illustrate, I'll give you some demonstration over here. Now already 3 variables we have created. See what I'm doing. Print, I'm creating a format string first. See the format string. Name equal to %s. Then I can use escape sequence also in it, like /n for new line. Then I'm writing salary equal to %f /n. Then I'm writing age equal to %d. Okay? So this is your format string, and in that there are 3 format specifiers. This is format specifier 1, 2 and 3. % is the placeholder and s is the conversion symbol. So it is telling that something is going to get substituted here in string form, something is substituted here in the float form, here in an integer form. Now what are those values that you have to give it in a tuple? Separate by %, and here I'm going to write x, y, z. Okay, so x will get substituted in %s, y in %f, z in %d, and after substitution whatever string you get, that is displayed by print on the monitor. See, is it displaying? In place of %s, has it substituted x? %f, y, in %d, it has substituted z, isn't it? And as I have put /n, it has displayed it on the new line. Is it clear to you? Here you can see by default there are 6-digit precision. If you want 2-digit only, you can do it. See, here you have to write %.2f. If I write %.2f, it will take only 2-digit precision. See, is it showing only 2-digit precision? You can give width also, like see, here I am writing %10s. Okay, so it will create a width of 10. In that it will fit RAM. The remaining 7 it will fill with spaces. Okay, see, has it created a width of 10? In that 10, 3 for RAM and remaining 7 have come space. And you can see the alignment is on the right side. If you want on the left side, you can give minus sign over here. %-10s. So all this are very much similar to C printf. In C, when we do printf with a format string, very much same. Getting? For integers also you can give width. Like say here I am writing %4d. So is it creating a width of 4? in which 2 is for 45 and remaining 2 is come blank. Instead of blank, if you want to fill with 0, you can give percentage 04D. See, is it filling that remaining 2 places with 0? So lot of things are there. Few I have given you. Getting? Few combinations I gave you. Okay? But is the basic idea, you have got it. What we get with this pattern. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Sure, no? Others also, still if some confusion, if you have query, because some people may be learning Python only directly, so they may have doubt. If some are already learned with some language, they can relate it or they can match it. Okay. Now, because for some engineering courses, some if are just now entered in engineering and all, so many universities in the entry level only they have added Python. Like Pune University has added Python in first year engineering course only. Correct? They have to start their career only with Python. So it may happen for them. Anyways, hope it is clear. Right? So then we can move with the another concept. Okay? There is one more form. Right? So all the forms I'll first cover and then we will see all this thing quickly on the slide too. Okay? Now one more form is there, but before that just remember whatever you write in double quote or single quote, according to Python it is a string object. Means it's an object of class str. Str is a class in Python and it is automatically an object of string class. Okay, please remember whatever you write in single quote or double quote. See, if I've written single quote or double quote, here I've written single quote hello. So actually it's a literal value, but it is an object. So according to Python, this is an object and it's an object of which class? Class str. Getting? And if it's an object, it will have its methods also. Isn't it? Which you can access it using dot. If I write here dot, so you'll be able to access. For example, see, if I write dot upper round bracket. So upper is actually a method of string class and this is an object of string. See, single quote hello is automatic according to Python an object of string, and then that string object is invoking a method upper, which is a method of class str, which will convert this string to uppercase and return you a new string. See, getting? We are going to learn all this method separately in chapter 4. Don't worry. All string methods I am going to tell you. Okay? Here just what I wanted to tell you. Anything what you write in single quote or double quote, according to Python, it is an object. And it's an object of class string. And if it's an object, it should be able to invoke methods of its class. So upper is a method. So same way, there is one method called format, which we are going to discuss now. See, print, first you'll have a string with a placeholder operator. See here what I'm writing, string with replacement operator. Now you'll say, who is the replacement operator? I'll tell you. Okay? So you will have a string with a replacement operator, double quote or single quote over, dot format. So now I hope you are able to understand that format is a method of which class? String class. And you know that whatever I'll write in single quote or double quote, it is going to be an object of which class? String class. And that object is going to invoke this method. Which method? Format method. Okay? And to this format, then you can pass list of values. Value 1, value 2, dot, dot, dot. Okay? Now what this format does is, inside this string, wherever the replacement operator is, there it will substitute these values. Getting? So it is going to replace the replacement operator with the list of values. So first replacement operator, first value, second replacement operator, second value. And after replacing that replacement operator with the value, what you get, a new string that print displays on the monitor. Getting? Now the question is, who is the replacement operator? So it is pair of brace bracket. Okay? Replacement operator is brace bracket. Please understand that in Python, brace bracket is not having any significance in blocks, because I'm sure you people have use of brace bracket as a block, right? You take a C language. Block means when you want to group many statements, okay, as a single statement. There are many statements and you want to group and make it as a single statement. So you group it in a block by putting open brace, close brace, isn't it? Like in C you have done, in C++, even in Java, okay, even in C Sharp. Many languages have this facility of brace bracket as a block, and block is group of simple statement, right? But Python is not using brace bracket for blocks, sir. Remember, Python uses brace bracket as a replacement. Then you'll say, then how block is indicated in Python? I'm going to come to it. Python indicates block by indentation, column number. All the statement which are in the same column, they have one block. Let the column number be anything. Like if they are all in third column, so all statement which are coming in the column number 3, they all will be one block. Okay, so I'll come to that topic separately. Here just remember, brace bracket is a replacement operator. So now within the string, wherever replacement operator is, it will substitute this value over there, and after substituting whatever string you get, that print displays on the monitor. Okay, I'll quickly show you that too. See here, and some variations of it. See, I'm writing name equal to brace bracket slash n, salary equal to brace bracket slash n, age equal to brace bracket dot. Now I hope you are understanding. Okay, this is an string with a replacement operator. This is a replacement operator, replacement operator, replacement operator. Now this is a string, and that string will call one method called format, to which I'm going to pass list of values. And there is a 1:1 correspondence. First value, first replacement. Second value, second replacement. Third value, third replacement. Getting? So in the first brace bracket, X is substituted. Second brace bracket, Y is substituted. Third brace bracket, Z is substituted. Getting? And after substitution, you'll get the result. See. Clear? There is by default 1:1 indication. But sometimes like you don't want 1:1. Like in the first place, you want Z to replace. So you can give numbers also. Means you can give indexes. By default, the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. So suppose here if I give 2, here if I give 0, here if I give 1. So accordingly the replacement is. Because X is at the 0th place. So wherever 0, it will replace X over there. Y is at 1th place. So wherever you see brace bracket 1, there Y. Z is at 2th place. So wherever brace bracket 2, it will replace Z over there. See how the replacement is. Can you see? At 2th place Z is there. At 0th place X is there. At 1th place, the number can repeat also. Like suppose I have written 0 twice. So 2 times substitution is done. See. Both the place X, X. You understanding or no? I hope you are clear with it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
next thing is, sometimes you don't want to give this index number. Some meaningful name you want to give. That too is possible. See, like here I'm writing some name like A. I'm using name like B. Here I'm using name C. So here you have to just associate. You have to say that A equal to X, B equal to Y, C equal to Z, how you do the association based on that. So inside this string, wherever A come, it will replace it with X. Wherever B come, it will replace it with Y. And wherever C comes, it will replace it with Z. Getting? See. Now that symbol can be repeated also, you know it, like instead of C, again if I am writing A, so 2 times A, so both the places X will be substituted. See. Clear? This concept is also clear. Now actually in this also formatting can be done, but at this moment it will be too much for you people. So I have just given a basic idea about this format. Okay? So hope that is clear. Is it right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sure, no? Okay. Then one more form is there. That too I'll tell you. What this says, the same technique, that is format, the easier way is there. You can precede the string with F. See, print, okay, F, double quote, single quote, and string with brace bracket, variable, brace bracket. Such thing is also allowed. Okay, this concept is called as interpolation. Now this interpolation mechanism, many might have learned in other scripting language. If you have studied some scripting, like at least Unix shell script you have done, or if you have done scripting languages like PHP, so there also such facilities there. Okay, it is actually called as interpolation. Interpolation means the strings are expanded by substituting the variables with their value. Means within the string, wherever variable come in a brace bracket, there the value of the variable is substituted, and after substituting the value of that variable over there, the string is expanded, and then that string is displayed on the monitor, which is somewhat similar work happening. Clear? See, so if you precede the string with F, so what it will do, inside that string, wherever brace bracket variable come, it will substitute there the value of variable, and after substituting value of variable, the new string it sends to the monitor. Getting? See, I'll show you in this context only quickly. Print F, single quote, double quote, doesn't matter, name equal to brace bracket X /n, salary equal to brace bracket Y /n, age equal to brace bracket Z. Complete. That's all. So simple. So what it is going to do, as the string is preceded with F, it is going to interpolate this string, meaning it is going to expand the string by replacing all the variables by their value. So in place of this brace bracket X, value of X is substituted, value of Y is substituted, value of Z, and then the new string you get it on the monitor. Can you see this? Okay, if the variable doesn't exist, it will give an error. It will give a name error. Like if you are using some different variable which doesn't exist only, like I'm writing T. Okay, so it will generate an error, name error. Name T is not defined because there is no variable with the name T. Okay, it will not replace default null or something like in PHP. Okay, PHP is too loosely typed. Python is loosely typed, but at some level it is strict. But PHP is not at all strict. If those who have learned PHP, you should know it. Okay, so name error, name T is not defined. Clear? I hope you got it. So this is also one form. And then coming to the last form, getting on, many might be waiting when this all forms will get over. I'm sure this is the last form. Print, and you can pass object to it, and the object can be of any class. Means it can be the object of some classes which Python has given, like you can pass an object of list, object of tuple, object of dictionary, object of set, or you can pass object of your class also. Like you have created your own class, like suppose you have created class cat. Okay, you have defined it, and then you have created an object of cat class, like money equal to cat. Okay? And then you can pass print money also. Python has allowed it. Okay? So in short, what I want to say, to print, you can pass objects of any class. Now, here actually what is going to happen, implicitly it is going to call one magic method. Have you heard about magic method? The concept of magic method in any OOP? No to no, don't worry. Clear? You can frankly reply. Clear? I am not going to evaluate you people on your answers because you are nowhere in college, or I am not a college teacher, and as you answer then I'll give you marks and all. Clear? Frankly you have to tell.
Sir, maybe constructor,
Yes,
those methods of
yes,
Java.
yes.
Okay.
Very good. Clear? Exactly. Constructor of Java is a magic method. Clear? Constructor, destructor, okay, operator overloading functions, they are magic methods. Okay, simple to tell you, magic methods means methods which are called implicitly. Methods which are called implicitly. Implicitly meaning your understanding, you don't have to call it using a dot operator. Programmer doesn't have to call that method using dot operator. Suppose I'm writing print money. So here dot and then something I'm calling. Okay. So this method f, is it called implicitly? You have called it explicitly using a dot operator. Object dot method. So it cannot be called as a magic method because you are invoking it by calling yourself. You are calling it. Getting? But there are some methods which are never to be called by we people. If you call it, it won't give an error. But they are such special methods which get called automatically. Implicitly they are called. You understanding? They are called implicitly. Such methods are called as magic method. So as he said, constructor. Constructor is the best example of magic method. Okay, constructors, destructors, right? Then in Java, is there one more? If you are from Java background, you can tell me. Like in Java, tell me, if I create an object of cat class, money equal to cat, and then to SOP, if I pass system.out.println, I'm passing that money object. So is Java calling here some magic method implicitly? In Java, you can pass such object to SOP and Java doesn't give error. Okay, so does Java call here some magic method? If you know it, you can tell me. Anyone, if you know it, you can tell me if you are aware with it. Okay? No? No, Gautam.
Not sure, sir. Not sure.
Okay. Others like. No one else. Gauri, Aditya, Anjali. No. What happens in Java? Like if you pass an object to SOP, does it give call to some magic method? Automatically one magic method is called. No? There were more students, few got disconnected, I guess. No, not a single person is remembering. Huh? Yes, Aditya?
No, sir.
No idea. Okay, no issues. See, in Java, it gives call to one magic method called toString. At least now it is sure you might have recalled.
Yeah.
right? ToString. It gives call to ToString, right? Same concept is there in Python, but Python is having another magic method. What is that? That I'll tell you. But this last form says what? That to print you can pass object of any class. So you can create objects of Python provided, like I'm creating a list. L is equal to square bracket, and list, you can list out any values whatever you want, okay, of any type, in between boolean, enter. Object of list is created. L is now an object of list class. L is an object of list class, and directly to print I can pass L. Print L, it will display all the values. But now you may be surprised okay, how print knows what are the values of L. So actually print is not doing the work. Print is doing only printing work, but someone is there who is bringing these values and giving it to print. So here one magic method is called, getting? And who invokes it? L. And what is that magic method? I'll be telling you in the next session, getting?